Hey, you guys, this week we're going to look in the Scholastic News magazine that says, Can kids save the planet? That's the April 13th edition. If you picked up a packet today, this is what we're going to be working out of for several days this week. All right, protect our planet. It might be a little difficult for me to read this while I get adjusted. All right, here we go. Alexandria Villaseñor is speaking about the future of the planet, and she's not alone. As you read, think about why might young people like Alexandria be so concerned about climate change? Alexandria Villaseñor has the same routine nearly every Friday. She grabs a couple of cardboard signs and takes the subway across New York City. Then she spends most of the day sitting on a bench outside the headquarters of the United Nations. Inside, leaders from countries around the world gather to try to solve problems. Week after week, Alexandria is there to demand action on climate change, the gradual change in Earth's average temperature and weather patterns. Climate change is affecting sea levels and leading to more extreme weather events. Throughout history, Earth's temperature has changed naturally, but most scientists agree that our use of fossil fuels is playing a big role in the current global warm-up. Alexandria, age 14, and other young activists are calling on world leaders to battle climate change. Alexandria was inspired by a teen from Sweden named Greta Thunberg, whose Fridays for Future protests have spread to other countries. Last September, Alexandria helped plan a protest march that drew tens of thousands of kids and teens to the streets of New York City. Alexandria recently spoke with Scholastic News about why she thinks kids should speak out about the future of the planet. So here's her interview. And in her interview, they asked her why she became a climate activist, about the Friday for Future protests at the UN, and what she hopes to achieve in her protests, as well as how her classmates have reacted to her activism. And we have discussed activists in other texts. Some words to know: fossil fuels, a science term. Coal, oil, and natural gas formed from the remains of prehistoric plants and animals. And renewable energy is energy from a natural source such as wind or sunlight that will never run out. All right, here's a sidebar: the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is the process that keeps Earth warm enough for us to live here. The problem, scientists say, is that we're producing too much of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide that trap heat in the atmosphere. So here's how it works. Energy from the sun provides Earth with light and heat. Clouds and Earth's surface reflect about 30% of that energy back towards space. Greenhouse gases trap some of that reflected energy in the atmosphere, warming the planet further. People burn fossil fuels to power cars, homes, and businesses. That releases more greenhouse gases into the air. Even more heat is trapped in the atmosphere, causing temperatures on Earth to rise. And that is the greenhouse effect. Let's check out our questions. Protect our planet, number 1. Which event led Alexandria Villaseñor to become a climate activist? A, a protest at the United Nations headquarters. B, a ride on a New York City subway. C, a wildfire in California. Or D, a meeting with other teen activists. Okay, you would definitely have to read the passage to see what got her started becoming an activist. Let's see. Scholastic asked her, why did you become a climate activist? I was visiting family in California in November 2018 when a wildfire broke out in the town of Paradise. Even though the fire was more than 100 miles away, we ended up getting a lot of the smoke, and it inflamed my asthma, a medical condition that can make breathing difficult. That made me want to research why these fires were happening. I started to see the connection between wildfires and climate change, and that made me want to get involved. Let's go back and look. Okay, so she just discussed wildfires in California. She did not meet with other teen activists, so we could have eliminated D, and the ride on the New York City subway definitely would make her become a climate activist. So the answer for number 1, if you have it, is C. Number 2, which of the following is a fossil fuel? And we saw that in Words to Know. In Words to Know, we saw that it was anything that was a natural gas. That one was pretty much just looking in the vocabulary terms. And then number 3, which statement would Alexandria most likely agree with? Protesting is the only way to bring about change. I want to disagree with that one because you can get a change in any way. Sometimes simply by asking, and sometimes by simply making the change yourself. It's only when you have resistance that you sometimes have to protest. B, we should use less renewable energy. I do believe in one of her interview questions, she suggested we use more renewable energy. So let's get rid of that one as well. C, kids should leave it to adults to try to solve big problems. Alexandria and many other people your age take steps to make big things happen in their towns and communities. So it's not always up to the adults to make something happen that you need to address. D, it's important to speak up about the future, and I'm going to go with that one as our answer, especially considering one of the first things she says here is Alexandria Villaseñor is speaking out about the future of the planet, and she's not alone. And then later, she says here with renewable energy, every single protest is continuing to put pressure on them to take action to protect my generation's future. So Alexandria isn't just focusing on what happens now, she's focusing on what can happen later. That answered our questions, and I will also post a video in the comments continuing. We're going to be talking about Earth Day later on this week, and also you have in your packet, you had a close reading questions. Let's do those tonight, if you will. What is climate change? Why does it matter? Number 2, how are fossil fuels different from renewable energy sources? And number 3, according to the sidebar, the greenhouse effect. How do more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere affect the environment? All right, so that's your assignment for tonight. We have already answered the questions. We'll hold on to this magazine because we are going to be looking at it a couple of more times this week. I want to shout out to Travion Vance for making 100 on Echo and Green, and also on April Fool's Day. Javen Fields, you also did well on one of those texts, and thank you for turning in all of your online assignments. This week we will continue to work in ReadWorks as well. I will make sure that I remind you of how to log into that. As for now, this is our lesson for today, and I hope that you guys followed very well. If not, just hit the playback button and watch it again. Have a good day, kids.